team, but you do have the inimitable Steve West. So, it's like it's a little bit like driving on the donut for a while, Steve. Congratulations, you're the donut. And
Okay.
well, that was uncalled for, wasn't it? Doesn't sound quite right.
Kind of
No.
almost sort of gets you there.
Yeah. I wonder, should you have your camera on like this whole show?
I could do that.
It'll be weird because you're going to pop up on my side of the screen. Okay.
Yeah, well,
And there'll
that
be
is weird,
nothing
isn't
on
it?
the other side of the screen, but that's okay. Maybe we can find something and prop it up over there. Is there a cardboard cutout of somebody around here somewhere that we can,
I have no idea.
like in a Kathy Ireland cutout from an old beer promotion that we can find a way to
Wouldn't
put
that
in
be
there?
nice?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
sure. I'd probably take it home with me, but
Like
anyway.
an old Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue.
Oh, hello. Yeah, boy. All right, let me tell you what's going on weather-wise today. We actually have a pretty nice, mostly cloudy skies. There is a very small chance of rain. 80 degrees for a high today. Now, tomorrow, rain comes in tomorrow night, and they say it is going to be a gully washer. It is going to be as bad, maybe worse than it was last night. That's the claim. Now, I don't know if we're talking about thunder and lightning or just talking about the washout amount of water, because I got a lot at my place. We'll cover that in a second. 81 degrees for a high tomorrow, but then the temperature plummets. And on Thursday, we're looking at 60. 60, partly cloudy, mostly cloudy skies.
Aren't they saying lows in the 30s?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeesh.
going to get down there. Saturday and Sunday, we're talking about highs of 72, maybe 73, and sunny skies. So it should be nice. It'll be like a little more spring-like and not this sort of muggy thing, where you're walking outside and you go, it's 80 already? This is not okay. What are you doing? It's too early. It's 66 right now where we are. And again, there's a lot of moisture on the ground, so it's slowly but surely working its way out. A lot of humidity out there. It's going to be okay. We'll work our way through today. Tomorrow, actually, before the rain comes in, it's going to be nice. And then it is supposed to be quite the washout. So be prepared for that. Did you, I assumed last night while I was living inside a washing machine at my house, I said, I bet Steve is getting this. There's never a chance when we have rain in Alabama and you get nothing.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely got it. And the funny thing was I was at trivia last night with Spud and the rest of the team, and it was just pouring down in Hoover.
Mm-hmm.
And I contacted my wife just to make sure everything was good. She said power flickered a couple of times, but never actually completely went off.
Mm-hmm.
So, and by the time I got home at about 9:30, most of it had already gone by, thankfully, and
Yeah.
I didn't even have to drive, and the worst of it got done by the time we were done with trivia.
That's good. That is good news. It was a come and go at my place. I kept an eye on the radar with my one bar on my phone and my complete and utter lack of Wi-Fi, which is being fixed today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. By the way, when you call AT&T, because if you don't know the story, I'll tell it to you. I was with Spectrum, and I had TV with them at one point, and I had internet with them, and I was paying like almost $300 a month, and I realized all I was watching was like the Food Network and Cooking Channel, and occasional football and basketball games. I was like, this is insane. I don't need this cost. I'm going to dump it all and get along without football. I did that just at the moment that Auburn started to suck, so it was perfect.
Perfect timing. Yeah,
It
very
really
well done.
worked out well. Unfortunately, it was the time when Alabama was once again like charging toward the top, and so I did have to go catch some of those games at Buffalo Wild Wings or whatever. But anyway, so I just had Spectrum internet, and I had it for several years. I had it at my old house. I moved it to my new house. It was there, and 2.5 years ago, I get a letter in the mail that says, hey, listen, we understand you've been paying $60 a month for this. Starting next month, it's going to be $160. What?
Uh-huh.
It's going to be what now? You're more than doubling the cost of this. Are you kidding me? I called him up and I said, guys, you got to be out of your ever-loving mind. I mean, you don't just increase the rate on somebody by $100. You want to increase it by $20, even $30. I get it. You want to go from 60 to 90. I've had this $60 rate for 5 or 6 years. It's nice. Don't get me wrong. But $160? And they said, yeah. I said, can we work something out? They said, no. I said, so what you're telling me is I either pay $160 or I don't have you anymore. Yeah. I said, okay. I put the phone down. I called AT&T that very moment. I said, can I get some high-speed internet over here? All I need is the internet. I already got you. She goes, you have a cell phone with us. Yes, I'm on your cell phone plan. All right, we'll send someone out tomorrow. Boom, they get there, set it up, $65 a month.
There you go.
I call Spectrum and I say, I'm canceling effective immediately. Oh, whoa, wait, hold on. What do you mean? I said, when you sent me this thing that said you were going to jack my price up by $100, were you unaware that you have competition? Like, did you just not know that there was another organization out there that could do this? Well, now hold on a second there, Mr. Dixon. Let's see if we can't work. I said I tried to work something out with you yesterday. Now you can go bleep yourself.
Pretty much.
Except only I didn't say fudge. I really was.
Thank you, Ralphie.
I was really less than kind to them at that point because I was like, no, this is not how you treat customers.
Exactly. Well, and same thing. For example, when I got this car, it came with 3 months customary, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Complimentary, yes.
Complimentary, thank you. I knew there was a word for that. Sirius XM. And I'm like, okay, well, let's check this out. And I kind of got to liking it. So started to think about, do I want to do this? And suddenly I started getting letters and, hey, we'll set you up for this. And then all of a sudden it came in for like, we'll set you up for 2 years at $5 a month. Sold.
Hello.
Well, the 2 years just wrapped up. So I call them because they're going to go like $25 a month. And I'm like, seems a little high after paying $5 a month. And they were like, oh, let's see what we can do. That's the customer service you're looking for. They didn't go, well, no, we're hardlining it until such a time as you freak out.
Right.
They went, hey, let's see what we can do. And they worked something out with me.
That's very good. I pay, because I got that $5 a month deal long ago, and it's long since wrapped up. I now pay for it at the beginning of every year. And I think I pay
pay for it all in one shot?
Yeah, I think I paid like $212 this year to get everything. I got the upper tier, so I can pick it up. I can put it on one other radio if I want to in a car, and I've got it on the app and everything, basically. I got all the channels. I love it.
I might call them up and see if they couldn't do something for you.
I will tell you what, because the music radio it's falling apart terrestrially. And, talk radio is pretty much all I listen to nowadays. So when I go to listen to music radio, I go find a little something on Sirius XM, and I vastly prefer it. Anyway, so AT&T, I got struck by lightning several months ago, and my AT&T router got just toasted. And so I called them up and said, hey, listen, guys, sorry about this. Act of God, whatever. Also fried my garage door opener and a couple of other things.
Yeah, I was thinking that was the same one.
Same one, yeah. Everything on that side of the house basically got hit. So they come out, and the guy goes, oh, no. You got the crappy AT&T. We finally got those high-speed internet lines over to your neighborhood, and we're going to hook you up with that. I was like,
hello.
What? I said, how much more? He said, not a dime. I'm like, I love you, AT&T. So they hooked me up. It comes into the house from the other side now, the other angle, and hooks up there, and that's why I backed into it with a truck and took it out. But it was interesting to me that when I called them and said, I need you guys to set me up, they go, Johnny on the spot. Can't wait to get there. I called them back and said, hey, listen, something went wrong here. I got fried by lightning. I need somebody to come and go, oh, Johnny on the spot. Now it's my fault. I back into this wire. Yesterday, I must have spent 2.5 hours trying to track AT&T down, figure out how to get them out here. And boy, my favorite thing is the AI voice that keeps going. A simple fix for your internet would be to turn on and off your modem. No. Unplug it and plug it back in. I'm like, I have no wire. I'm sorry, I didn't understand you. That's because you're not a human being. Give me a human being. I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Shut up, lady. Oh, my God. Anyway, I finally get a guy on the line. He has the most wonderful Hispanic accent.
Oh, okay.
Here's Mr. Dixon. We're going to get someone out there immediately. There's nothing available today. How about tomorrow? Tomorrow between noon and 4 or 4 and 8. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to make it noon to 4 because I got stuff to do. So let's go between 4 and 8. Okay, tomorrow between 4 and 8, I'm putting you down. I'm going to send you a text to verify all of this. Great. I love it. Thanks, Pepe, or whatever your name is. And so we hang up, and bzz, here comes the text. I look at it, and it says, you have an appointment for June 4th between 4 and 8 p.m. I was like, oh, come on. Come on. I go back. I call again. They give me their virtual assistant. It says, we see you have an appointment for tomorrow between 4 and 8. I'm like, okay, so you got it right. Good. That's good.
Somehow the text got it wrong.
The text got it wrong. I am a little worried, but I did get a follow-up text later last night that said, we're coming tomorrow between 4 and 8. Thank you, Jesus.
Okay.
You have no idea how much you miss internet until you don't have any internet.
What's the old phrase? A luxury once enjoyed becomes a necessity?
Absolutely. I mean, all my TV, my Alexa, my Sirius XM inside the house, everything runs off the interweb. And of course, show prep, all of that good stuff.
Sure.
So I'm dead in the water without the interweb. So AT&T, I don't ever tell them that though. By the way, because if they ever find out how dependent I am on them,
Well, to a certain extent, depending on the department you're in, because my wife used to work for them. She's retired from them. They understand to a certain extent, I think, that they do have competition.
mm-hmm.
Spectrum apparently forgot,
Yeah,
which
they
is
did.
why you got the situation you got.
What a bunch of jerks. And then I took it on a poor guy who came knocking on my door and said, "Hey, I'd like to talk to you about changing from AT&T to Spectrum." I was like, "Let me tell you my Spectrum story, pal." It is Dixon and Vining. He is Steve West. I'm Richard Dixon. Valerie Vining off until tomorrow. Anthony and Company Jewelers at 2080 Valleydale Road. I brought a piece of jewelry in to get it fixed, get it repaired. And I know that they are going to do the best work that can be done because I've done it before with them. What I needed was a new chain on a pendant. And I said, I don't know exactly what this is, but this chain's not going to be strong enough and it's not long enough. Can you do something with this? And they said, yeah. Broke out the big book of chains and panned through it and said that this one's going to be this is strong. I said, how about one bigger? They said, look, the small one's going to be strong enough. Trust us on this one. It's going to work. I go, okay, if you say so. They said, it's got to be welded on here. It doesn't go through like a hoop. This actually gets welded. I was like, whatever you say. I'll just do whatever you tell me to because you guys are great at this. They do all the repairs in-house. If you got something you want to pick up for a special someone around Easter time or something you want to pick up for someone around for Mother's Day, maybe you got an anniversary, got a birthday coming up, just because present. You can never go wrong with Anthony and Company Jewelers. It's a little bitty jewelry store with tiny little prices and a huge selection. Prices so low they can't afford to have a sale. Visit them online at anthonycojewelers.com to find out more. anthonycojewelers.com. Anthony and Company Jewelers. 622 Dixon Dividing Talk 995, talk995.com, etech.cc, etech communications. From 2 to 200 phones. Me. Okay. Sorry, that's just a morning phlegm. That should probably be the name of the show now that I think of it. The Morning Phlegm.
Oh, Valerie will love it.
That'd be good. Yeah, we'll change the name. We'll change all the imaging and everything by the time she gets back. Ladies and gentlemen, the Morning Phlegm. Sorry. etech communications, etech.cc, from 2 to 200 phones. Virtual assistant, automatic call forwarding. You can find out everything you need to know about it at etech.cc, but what you really need to know is that it's going to cost you less and the service is second to none. Locally owned and operated by a guy who really cares. That is etech communications, etech.cc. Let's do this.
And now, it's Dixon and Vining's top 3 things you need to know.
Well, we had the story yesterday about the Iranian women's soccer team possibly asking Australia for a little asylum, and Donald Trump urging them to follow through. And lo and behold, 5 of the members did and were granted asylum in Australia. The fate of 21 members still up in the air. They are trying to decide whether they want to return to a country still reeling from war. You might remember they went to Australia for a tournament before the U.S. attacks against Iran began on February 28th. The official roster lists 26 players, along with coaches and staff. Australian authorities confirmed that 5 players were transported by federal police to a secure location overnight to finalize humanitarian visas. The remaining members of the delegation have not publicly indicated whether they will seek similar protections or return to Iran. I would say you got a little bit. I would say maybe stay there until you can be sure the bombing and the war is over and see where it lands, right?
Sure. And I'm always kind of curious about the division when it comes to this, because we used to hear this like when Cuba finally started allowing some of their national teams to come to the United States, and you get defectors from that point, but not all the entire team.
No.
So I wonder what the division is.
I'm interested in that 5 and 21 here, but also some of them have got to be worried about family members back in Iran. You know, what's going to happen to them. Others are going to be like, you know what? I can't live this way. I can't go back now after not singing the national anthem. These guys. Iran, there was a tale once back in the 1980s, 84? Could have been 84, could have been 80. I don't remember. The Iranian soccer team lost badly in the Olympics, or World Cup. It was one of those two. And when they got back to Iran, the powers that be covered the bottoms of their feet with hot tar as punishment for doing so very poorly in the competition. I'm thinking, well, I'm betting those guys aren't playing again. Now they can probably not walk. Good job.
Yeah, congratulations.
And you probably really inspired others to get on that team, right? Get people
really
excited about joining.
I don't think that was fairly widely publicized. But then again, maybe it was. I don't know. The way that things go over there, it's ridiculous.
I will tell you what. I know that when the supreme leader was dying, and they thought he wasn't going to make it another day. He gathered his immediate family around his bedside and had them all shot. And it improved his mood almost immediately.
Sure. And then he died.
Yeah. Wife of a teacher killed in a senior prank in Georgia has an unexpected request of the judicial system. She said, look, here's the thing. Math teacher Jason Hughes in Gainesville, Georgia, he and these kids had a kind of a game that they were playing. If the kids managed to roll his yard and he didn't catch them, they got a point. If they rolled his yard and he did catch them, then he got a point. So I don't know if there was a prize at the end of the year for this or what the deal was, but it was a game. He was in on it. He was excited, according to his wife. He and his wife love these kids. They have been teaching at that school for quite some time now, and so she has kindly asked the powers that be, don't make this situation worse and ruin these kids' lives. Drop the charges. It was an accident. It wasn't supposed to happen. They didn't mean for it to happen. You're going to put a kid away on a felony murder charge because he was out goofing around having fun on a prank that my husband was really in on? And it was just a wet sidewalk. He slipped and fell in front of the vehicle, and that's why he got run over. A horrible situation. And a woman who is trying to make sure that the situation doesn't get worse, but is obviously very understanding. She also taught these kids at that school, And she said, this would run counter to Jason's lifelong dedication to investing in the lives of these children. Man, I'll tell you what, I'm not sure I would have it in me. But,
Yeah, she's a better person than I. Plus, I'm also kind of curious as to how the legal system goes through that, because in this situation, I guess she can request it, but
Sure.
she can't drop the charges
No.
because this is not a situation where she pressed charges.
She did not. That is exactly right. All she can do is ask. Sometimes society says, well, we appreciate where you're coming from, but we feel the need to protect society from a person who's going to make some bad judgment calls in the future, so we're going to continue to pursue this. Maybe not. But, I mean, look at it this way. Erica Kirk forgave Charlie's assassin. They ain't dropping the charges.
That's true.
Yeah. Tua Tagovailoa is out at the Dolphins. They made that decision a few days ago and informed him, I guess, yesterday, maybe the day before. Almost immediately the Dolphins said, hey, are you busy? The Falcons are all about it. The Falcons are like, hey, we just got rid of Kirk Cousins because he wasn't very good. We're thinking maybe you might be the answer. And then they are going to put him in a kind of a one-on-one competition with Michael Penix Jr. to see if maybe one of those two can rise to the top. Tagovailoa signed a one-year contract with the Falcons.
Yeah. And did you see for how much?
No. How much?
A pittance. It's like $1.5 million.
Oh, geez. How's he going to be able to scrape by on that?
The contract that he signed with the Miami Dolphins has them in such bad shape, dead cap wise, what they call dead cap, because they still owe Tua Tagovailoa that money.
They do. Yeah, that's. I find that interesting, and they've got to be a little peeved about that because for the past 2 years he's been injured and really unable to play.
Yeah.
In a lot of games, so they have been paying him to sit on the sidelines, and now they're going to pay him to go play for someone else.
Yep. And this counts against their cap, $100 million over the next 2 seasons.
There is a
Ouch.
great scene in Moneyball where David Justice, who's playing for the Oakland A's, is talking to Billy Beane. He's in batting practice, and Justice is like, man, I used to play for the Yankees. And Brad Pitt, Billy Beane, says, you know how much the Yankees think of you? They're paying us $8 million a year to not play you. They're paying us $8 million a year. $8 million of your salary is coming from the Yankees, a team that basically fired you.
Yeah.
Boy, that shut him up really quickly.
Sobering.
Yeah. I'm sure Tua's going to be like, I'll take it, though.
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain. I'm
Chance to go back and prove yourself and put yourself back in the good graces of the NFL.
Hey, look, Sam Darnold was a bust at the Vikings, won a Super Bowl with the Seahawks the next year. So there's no telling. Things could be perfect for him. It might just be the team gels and he's the right guy for the right team. We'll see how it goes. 6:30, Dixon and Vining, Talk 99.5, talk995.com. One way or the other, I'm a Tua fan. I want him to succeed. Otis Redding with a posthumous number one. He had that one. Janis Joplin had a posthumous number one as well at one point. There are a few of those out there. Jim Croce, I think, had one. Leonard Skinner. 635, Dixon Divining Talk, 99.5 Talk, and 995.com. Thanks for hanging out with us on this fine morning. I am Richard Dixon. Steve West is here. Valerie Vining off today. It's her birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. I already gave her a present.
It's actually today, though, right?
Today is the day. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Work Trucks is downtown, 2324 3rd Avenue South. They were nice enough to, A, loan me a very large truck over the weekend to help a friend move. And B, while my truck was sitting on their lot, I asked about, remember that piece of molding that was ripped off the top of it while I was at the RV show? Yeah. I said, listen, I found one online. It's like, I found one that's $36, one that's $45. I tend to want to go with the $45 one because I'm like, let's not cheap out on this. And Bubba, the guy who owns Work Trucks, said, why don't we just check with the Ram dealership and see what does the actual part cost? Because, you get one of these things off of Amazon and you put it on and it doesn't match and you're just stuck with it for the rest of all time. And he goes, just let our parts guy. Oh, okay. I said, while you're at it, my sensor, my right rear tire sensor has gone out, so it always tells me I have a flat back there. I don't. And he's like, we'll take care of that one. So while I'm off driving around in a big truck that they loaned me, they took my truck into the shop, and they took care of these two things for me.
Nice.
While I was going. It was wonderful. I get back, the truck is in great shape. It's got the molding on. The tire sensor is operational. They explained a lot to me about how all this stuff works, and I gave them back their truck, and I said, this thing is a Maytag box on wheels. It's terrifying. Nonetheless, if you need work done on your vehicle, I say Work Trucks, but you don't have to. It doesn't have to be a truck. You can bring a car in there. You bring an SUV in there if that's what you want. They work on all kinds of makes and models. All the work, by the way, is done in-house, which is great. If you need a new transmission dropped in, guess what? They can do that. Need a whole new engine? They can do that. Work Trucks, downtown, 2324 3rd Avenue South, right across the street from their service center, Work Trucks, where they are all about trucks. Work Trucks with an X, LLC.com. U.S. Representative Barry Moore has gained another endorsement in his campaign for U.S. Senate. It's one of the guys who was running against him, a man by the name of Morgan Murphy. Did you even know that Morgan Murphy was running for Senate? I didn't.
Does not ring a bell.
Yeah.
No.
Does not ring a bell. He has announced he's leaving the race, and he's endorsing Moore, and he said one of the reasons is Donald Trump's endorsement. It's tough to beat Donald Trump's endorsement. Poll came out yesterday that put Moore well in front, Steve Marshall in second place, Jared Hudson in third place, Morgan Murphy, and also ran way down the list. And so he said, well, how about I don't waste my time on this? How about I actually go run for a House seat and see if I can't flip something from Democrat to Republican? That, I guess, would be what, the 2nd district? Either the 2nd district or the 7th district. I don't think you're going to unseat Terry Sewell. That seems unlikely.
That's going to be a hard poll.
But I'm thinking you might be able to beat Shamari Figures down in the Mobile area. Murphy is a veteran and a former staffer for Donald Trump and Tommy Tuberville. He said he's not leaving the political arena. He's going to be using the over $1 million in campaign donations he's received to attempt to flip one of Alabama's Democratic congressional seats. Good luck with that. You're not going to get Terry Sewell out of that seat. I don't see that ever happening. But
no, she's comfortable right there, and her constituents are comfortable with her.
Shamari Figures was a pretty close win, as I recall.
That wasn't very big.
It was 3 or 4 points. I think it's doable because that is a majority black district, but only by a whisker. And of course, it was drawn that way. And this is a weird situation that we're going to be dealing with here in the not too distant future because Alabama Republicans in our House and Senate put together a new congressional map, and immediately they were sued. Immediately the thing was taken to court because they said, hey, you should have 2 majority black congressional districts here, and you don't. You just have 1. And it went up, and one judge said, no, it's okay, and then the appeals court said, no, it's not okay. Eventually, it gets to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says, go redraw this thing and redraw it in a better way. I think it was, was it the state Supreme Court that did that? I'm trying to remember. Anyway,
I thought it was the U.S. Supreme Court.
Some court somewhere said, go redraw this thing and make it better and fix it. And so the Republicans did, but they still didn't come up with 2 majority black congressional districts. And so the judge in that particular case said, handed it off to somebody else and said, here, you draw it and make it right. And they did. And then the Supreme Court approved that map. Now, that's really odd to me because one of the things that is in front of the Supreme Court right now that we're waiting on a ruling from, and we may not get it until June, but one of the things that's in front of the Supreme Court right now that we are waiting on is whether or not you have to draw your congressional map with race in mind. Well, they made that decision in Alabama that we had to, that we didn't have a choice. They wanted that congressional district that said you have 2 majority black congressional districts. Now, if you use enough gerrymandering techniques, you could draw Alabama with no majority black congressional districts.
Sure.
You could probably draw it with 3 majority black congressional districts if you worked at it.
You want to talk about the gerrymandering, though? I mean, I'm looking at the map right now.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. It goes from basically the Mississippi line over to the Georgia line.
Mm-hmm.
It right up against the Columbus area. So that means, what is that, Phoenix City over there?
Yeah.
Includes most of Montgomery and a portion of Mobile.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this district is so jacked up.
It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. That is one of the most screwy things I've ever seen. And, it's... It was court ordered. That's, you don't really get a chance to say, no, this is not what I wanted. We would prefer not to do it this way. The court said, you're doing it this way. Well, damn. That seems to be, when you have to have a little like snake reach out to get another section, that's wrong. Something is wrong there.
And that right there also defines the 7th district.
Yeah.
Terry Sewell's.
Yeah, I would agree. That is gerrymandering. And if they come back and say, no, you don't have to take race into account when you're drawing these maps, watch how quickly the Republican legislature will redraw the Alabama map.
Sure.
To go back to 1 black congressional district.
Well, and the state of Virginia is doing it too. I've got friends of mine who still live up there, and Spanberger's idea basically shoves all of the Republican representation there over into the Panhandle, over from Roanoke down to Bristol. Everything else would be blue.
What they're trying to do is be Massachusetts. Massachusetts had 40-some%, like 41, 42% of the vote in Massachusetts went for Donald Trump in 2024's election. Massachusetts has 1 Republican representing them in the House, and every other representative is a Democrat. You go, how is it possible that you can have 40+% of the vote go for the Republican president, but somehow those people aren't being represented in the House of Representatives?
And that is why I do not live in the state I was born in.
And Texas, they say, well, Texas is doing the same thing. Texas really isn't doing the same thing because over the years, Texas has turned redder and redder and redder. Remember Ann Richardson, I want to say her name was it?
Yeah, I think it was right.
Yeah, she was a governor there. She was a Democratic governor. She was well thought of. And, she was an old school Democrat, but, she was a Democrat, no question about it. And she got thrown over by George W. Bush, and they haven't seen a Democratic, not a Democratic governor, but they haven't seen a Democratic senator or a Democratic governor since then. Florida's the same way. Florida was very recent. Remember the 2000 presidential election? It's Gore. Oh, it's Bush. It's Gore. It's Bush. It's Gore. It's Bush. No, it's Bush. No, it's Gore. No, it's Bush. That was a very purple state at one point. It is now blood red. So it's not surprising that you have a lot of Republican legislators coming out of there. I'm surprised by the number of Democrats that are coming out of Florida, to be honest with you, because it is so incredibly red. But they're not talking about making a mess of their maps. They're just like, look, we feel like this is an equal and fair representation of what's going on here, as opposed to California. California, once again, another one of those states that has had Republican governors as recently as Arnold Schwarzenegger and has about 40% of the vote go to the Republican in every presidential race. But somehow they only have a handful of Republican representatives, and now they just redrew the map to draw those guys out.
Yeah, because they want to make sure that the Los Angeles and San Francisco metro areas, Sacramento too, dominate the voting map.
Yeah. Did I tell you about this story I read over the weekend about what happened in L.A.? This is what a mess L.A. is.
Oh, another example. Good.
A law-abiding citizen, minding his own business, went to the library to return a book. I think he was just going to the little book drop thing. Homeless man stabs him.
Oh, come on.
Guy is like still conscious enough to pull his phone out, dial 911. Here comes the ambulance. Woo! Pulls up. The guys jump out. They got the stretcher. They start working on him. A different homeless guy steals the ambulance and drives off with it.
Excellent.
And the dude dies from his stab wounds because they were unable to get him into the unit and get him the oxygen and everything that he needed. This is Gavin Newsom's California, people. This is Karen Bass's L.A. I just look at it and say, these are horror stories, and they don't really seem to be trying to do anything about it. Nor does Brandon Johnson seem to be doing anything about Chicago. And I think, if I were the mayor of a city like that, I would like to think that I would work ceaselessly, whether it's just getting advice from people who are successful at stopping such things, or whether it's actually implementing new rules, lobbying the legislature to get done that which needs to get done. I don't think I would stop until I had my crime rate down to what would be considered an acceptable level. These people don't seem to care.
No, they don't. And that's the sad part about it, because we're also looking at, in the case of Gavin Newsom, a guy who seems to have eyes on a bigger seat than what he's got in governorship in California.
Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen. It was a wackadoo.
Well, but how hard is it to beat him? I mean, think about it. He decides to go ahead and accept a debate against Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who is long out of the presidential running, and DeSantis waxes the floor with him in the debate.
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen if he goes up against a J.D. Vance or a Marco Rubio on a actual presidential debate stage?
J.D. Vance is every bit as good at this as DeSantis is, maybe a little better. He's one of the most focused, clear, logical people who's also able to elucidate his point. I mean, if you've never heard J.D. Vance speak at length, you should see that. And when it comes to press conferences, the guy is the absolute best. And he's got a clear level head. All you need to remember is, Martha, do you hear yourself? They've only taken over 1 or 2 apartment buildings. 648 with Dixon and Vining Alabama Tree Pros, 308-4158. Man, oh man, a lot of trees down. From last night's storm. Just saw some footage of it on ABC 3340, our TV partner. These folks didn't call Alabama Tree Pros before things went off the rails. They should have. They should have gotten in touch with Alabama Tree Pros and said, come on out and take these trees down because they're a danger. Instead, they fell on some houses. They fell on some power lines. They took out some cars. That's a terrible thing. You don't want that to happen to you. Really, if you're concerned at all about a tree possibly coming down in the next wave of storms, which is tomorrow night, a call to Alabama Tree Pros today might save you that heartache and grief. 308-4158. Online at alabamatreepros.com. They're fast, they're safe, they're expert, and they're less expensive than the other guys. I love them. You'll love them. alabamatreepros.com, 308-4158. originally called the Baseball Boys. They changed their name to the Outfield before they got the recording contract. Kings of the Splash Symbol. Here it is. There you go. Before that, the splash cymbal was used almost exclusively by Steve Miller. Or his drummer, rather, anyway. 6:53, Dixon and Vining. I'm Richard Dixon. Steve West is here. Valerie Vining is not, as you can see by the empty chair, if you're watching us on YouTube. She's celebrating her birthday elsewhere, probably by sleeping in. We were just talking about Gavin Newsom. There are people who want to become president because they really want to do things.
Okay.
Well, Donald Trump falls into
Sure,
that category.
yeah.
I mean, here's a
But
guy.
I think about all the ones that didn't.
Yeah. Well, Barack Obama really didn't get a whole lot done. I mean, you can look at his list of accomplishments, and it's not long. The economy.
Somebody more recent.
Yeah. The economy languished. Yeah. Oh, Joe Biden was a stopgap, basically. That was just Democrats throwing him up there to try to stop Donald Trump.
Well, and it was his time.
Yeah, it was his turn. That was sort of the Republican way we used to do things. It's like Bob Dole, because it's his turn. But there are people who become president because they want to accomplish things. And there are people who become president because they want to be president. I would put Barack Obama in that category. I think Bill Clinton falls into that category. I think George W. Bush falls into that category. I think his hand was forced into acting when it came to 9/11. But for instance, I believe Ronald Reagan became president because he wanted to do something. Barack Obama may have started off with the idea of doing something, but boy, he really dug that celebrity. That was like it. As soon as the camera started turning on him and people were stopping and listening what he had to say, I think a lot of that flew out the window because he didn't get much of anything accomplished. Donald Trump became president because he has ideas about what he wants to do. He said so early on. Number one, we're going to close the border. Number two, we are going to use tariffs to start getting other countries to bend to our will. We're powerful. We're strong. We need to start using that to make the lives of our citizens better. We're going to bring manufacturing back. We're going to drop regulation. We are going to make the economy stronger through a variety of means, including interest rate cuts as soon as he can get a new head of the Fed in there. But things like the tariffs, things like making sure that we've got manufacturing back in the United States of America, keeping or bringing inflation back down to a reasonable level. You know, he understands the economy and he knows how to get where it is he wants to go. Now, in the long run, this all may be because what he wants is a great legacy. You know, it could be that he wants people to remember Donald Trump as a guy who got things done. And people should think of him that way, whether you like the things he's doing or not. He's definitely getting things done. Just closing the border alone was something that Joe Biden told us was impossible. Now, Gavin Newsom, when asked what it is he wants to accomplish if he were to become president of the United States, why are you running? This is the answer everybody has to be able to give. Why are you running for president? What is it you want to do? And Gavin's answer to a podcaster, comedian podcaster, somebody by the name of Friedland, Adam Friedland. You know, I don't have like a brand. I don't have a tag, Make America Great or the Great Society or something like Medicare for All. But for me, no BS. It's just standing up for ideals, striking out against injustice that defines my why in every way, shape, and form. Stand up for ideals. Strike out against injustice. I'm a Sargent Shriver Democrat. I mean, in that whole 60s, the vernacular of the 60s, solving for ignorance and poverty, disease, and the spirit of the 60s, the spirit of King, by the movement in Gandhi and Mandela, that whole set of moral authority space. That's the zeitgeist. Yeah, and that's that. So that's me. That's my dad. So it's my mom. That's the book, and that's my why. So if you had to define it, vote for you and get X? Friedland pressed the governor. I just gave you my why, but how do you translate that into human? After all the wandering responses, Newsom comes up with this. I've struggled with being able to communicate. I told you what my why is and why I'm here, and I mean that, and that's ingrained in every aspect of my life. What is ingrained in every aspect of your life?
The one part that I caught about that was striking out against injustice, and I immediately thought of Cleavon Little's speech to Gene Wilder at the end of Blazing Saddles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tough crowd.
I'm just, I'm fascinated by somebody who says, solving the ignorance and poverty, disease, and the spirit of the 60s. Have you looked at your own state? Have you seen California? You know, they spent $20 billion trying to help the homeless, have helped zero homeless, and when pressed for an audit of where the money went, what was it spent on, Gavin Newsom's response was, that's not happening. You're not going to tell the people what you spent their $20 billion on, and they got nothing. You've got a rail to nowhere that's not being built. It's a $100 billion train that's supposed to go from L.A. up to San Francisco with a stop in Sacramento on the way, and you haven't got the first foot of track laid. You guys have been at it for years and years and years and years and years, and you've accomplished zip. I mean, I look at this guy and say, and you seem to think you deserve a promotion? How? How is that even possible? Great googly moogly. Well, there's lots more to come in the next hour. We got a couple of things you need to know about. TSA lines are reaching 3+ hours thanks to the government shutdown. Democrats are responsible for this. Donald Trump has a plan to get the SAVE Act passed, and it involves holding every other bill hostage. Plus, who doesn't love Arby's? Off-menu items that you can get at Arby's if you are so inclined. Okay. We'll dig into that. It's Dixon. It's Vining. Valerie.